Hello everybody, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Eyre-Walker. I'm an adventure, outdoor and travel photographer and Olympus visionary, and I made the film Dreamwalkers, the Faroes Project, and this is the making of this 30-minute adventure film. We're going to divide it into three parts, first part being the preparation and planning, the second part being the filming of the project, and the third part being post-production and editing of the film. So I hope you enjoy it, and welcome to part one. In October 2016, I met up with a good friend of mine, David, who is a part of the Dreamwalkers team, and we met up in Eyre, which is in Belgium, and we basically spent a weekend highlining. Well, he was highlining, I was filming and shooting photos. So that's the birth of this project, was actually that weekend. So I just packed and we're off on an adventure. One of those evenings we sat there and after a whole day of filming and highlining, and he basically told me, hey, you know, my team, the Dreamwalkers, and I, we want to go to the Faroe Islands, or we want to go somewhere special and go highlining where no one's gone before. And I said, well, I just came back from the Faroes a couple of months ago. I think, you know, from what I've seen here today and from the little understanding I have from highlining, I think the Faroes are the perfect place for it. So the film just came together from that. That was the rough idea. And then having spent the whole weekend with two of the four guys was also a really good way to get to know the team and what they were like, and you know, the chemistry was just right. So the idea was, you know, was born that moment. That was, for me, that opportunity to tell a unique one-off story that never had been done before. It was an adventure, it was in a place that I really knew well, and the highliners were some of the best guys, and that was the essentials to put this project together. I had the location, I had the athletes that were amazing at what they did, the equipment, and I thought I had the experience to do this. So everything came together and we basically went out and planned it. The next thing we had to do was do a scouting mission. My knowledge of the Faroe Islands was just not good enough. I couldn't tell if the rock was good enough to highlight, if it was physically possible to do it in the Faroe Islands. So two of the four guys went to the Faroes for a weekend and basically explored the whole country in February, which is probably the worst month of the year to go to the Faroe Islands from a weather point of view. And they had to determine if it was possible.
I think the biggest point of the scouting trip beforehand was to find solid rock. I mean, if there wasn't any rock or natural anchors, it wouldn't be possible, simply said. And we found out quite fast that there was a lot of good rock around. So setting up the highlands was not going to be the hardest thing, I think. But as soon as we got there, the first spot was super windy, like 80 km/h gusts or even more. And every spot we went to, it would have been impossible to highlight at that moment.
Someone can tell you, okay, well, usually there's gusts of, 60, 70 kilometers per hour. Someone can tell you all these things that have to do with the weather, but the scouting trip was essential to feel how it really was, because you can't really ask into that much detail, like how far are the gusts apart, like can it be, you just want to be there. And that's, I think, why the scouting trip was the most important, because we had to be here before we actually done it. And that actually felt like it helped a lot.
First time we felt the sheer power of the wind on the first location of the floating lake. Man, that really surprised us. We knew it was going to be windy, but we didn't expect that much power in the wind. We basically couldn't even stand up near the edge of the cliff, just out of fear of being blown away, and every now and then we had to lay down. Yeah. We would stand on the grass and just slide forward on our feet without even doing anything. Just, if we get this weather, no way we will get anything done. And there was a good possibility that we would just have 2 weeks of those conditions. It wasn't even like a harsh storm, just regular Faroese bad weather. You can read about the winds and see it online that it's blowing at 50k an hour, 80k an hour, but until you're out there and you feel what it's like, you've no idea how crazy it is.
This whole 2 months of already planning and putting together pitches and trying to find sponsors was starting to crumble a little bit, and I got quite worried, but it came down to the weather. And the guy said, look, if the wind wasn't here, the rock is great, the location is absolutely amazing, I think we can do it. And that was my go. After that, I stopped listening. I said, all right, the rock is good. You guys think you can do it. If the weather's fine, you'll be able to do it. We went ahead, looked for further sponsors. We found Visit Faroe Islands was really great as well. The tourism board helped us with flights there and accommodation. Atlantic Airways did a helicopter flight with us, which was amazing, for some footage as well. Unicar gave us a big van for all the gear, which was amazing. I was looking for some camera sponsors, camera equipment. So I had Rode for sound, I had Lexa for memory cards, Olympus of course, and Lee filters. The equipment and the sponsoring was there, and it seemed like the project was all set, so it was perfect. I spent a lot of time researching how to film this, how can we make this happen, what kind of equipment do we need, how am I going to transport all this equipment, how can we set it up on location, what are we going to do if the weather's bad, like all these what if situations, and what do I need. Everything had to be planned down as much as possible. Now, the one thing I always knew was that this was going to be a documentary. This was going to be, I'm going to tell the story as it happened. I did not want the guys to feel like the whole thing was scripted. So I thought about it for a long time. I was like, look, these are the shots we need to get, which are, essential shots like rigging a high line, driving from A to B, we need some interview footage, things like that, but there was no specific storyline. It was important to me that it felt real. If we failed, we failed. If we succeeded, we succeeded. If we struggled, the struggle had to be in the film too. So I really wanted to make a documentary. For me, that meant I had to film everything. Every single moment could have been a crucial moment. So for us, we took a lot of cameras, a lot of memory cards, and a lot of hard drives with us, and we knew that we were filming every single second around highlining, but the moments before, after, every time a decision was made, all of that had to always be filmed at all times. That was so crucial to telling this honest story. One thing that was super crucial to me to get the good shots, to bring across the feeling of being on a highline, I knew I needed a drone, and I knew I needed it to be a decent drone footage. So what we decided to do was get DJI Inspire, which takes different lenses. It allowed us to use long lenses up to 45 millimeters, which is a 90 millimeter full frame equivalent. And I think that's what really changed the look and feel of it. The idea was he flies the thing, I control the camera, which is great. We had 2 controllers, and the idea was I'll meet up with him in Belgium, and we practiced a few times, and he was prepared to do all of that, which is really great. And the whole thing just had to work out. I had to figure out how to fly a drone in no time at all.
I was just thinking of nothing, just enjoying these awesome views. And just, wow. Man, I love highlining.
if you're telling a story in a documentary style, I think it's really important that the crew, the team that's telling the story, is invisible, is basically transparent and not there. And the equipment should almost reflect exactly that too. So it has to be super portable, always at hand, easy to use, and obviously for the Faroe Islands, for this project, it had to be weather resistant to the bone. I decided to use the Olympus EM1 Mark II, which is a super weather resistant camera, and with the pro lenses, we had every single pro lens twice, which meant we had access to all the lenses at all times because it was 2 of us filming. And having used this camera in the past also meant that I knew what I could get out of these cameras. There was no surprises. So it was definitely the right tool for the job. After almost 8 months of planning, it was time to pack up, head off to Europe and fly to the Faroes and go on this adventure that we'd all been anticipating and planning for such a long time. So join me in the next part for the filming part of the adventure.
And I think everyone's been getting really exhausted, and then they've been good and then been bad again, so it's been an up and down roller coaster ride since the moment we started, since the moment we arrived. Not so easy, and like everything that you planned for months and months, it didn't go the way we thought it would, or I thought it would.